Today I will submit 3 things. 1. I support Uhuru Kenyatta, and may the fellowship of the Holy Spirit instruct him as he reflects on country in hiding and in silence. He should remember that silence annoys even the devil. If country is acting funny, it is because Uhuru's silence is so loud that we are completely flabbergasted. And Uhuru must not break this silence, in my view. Let the national anger boil over and run, then the wounds will dry up and heal with time. But just because I support Uhuru does not mean that I agree with him always. I want to go on record as the only Kenyan opposed to this thing called the handshake. And I know that the handshake is dear to Uhuru Kenyatta and Kenyans because it gave us peace. But I want to submit that the handshake and the peace story are all but big fat lies. Because peace is not the absence of war. Peace is a conquest of war. If you attain peace without conquering war, all you have is a ceasefire. It is an agreement to stop fighting but to keep the weapons sharpened for the coming war. And this is the handshake for you. It is a ceasefire. It is a cessation of hostilities. It did not end or resolve any of our hostilities. It only froze them to be activated on a later date. The handshake, in my view, is what the son of Elohim, the Almighty, called whitewashed grave. Very soon, the stinking mess underneath the grave will rise to the top. Now, this is what I think, and if I am wrong, I do not choose to be right. 2. There will be no revolution. The revolution has been postponed. End of discussion. The revolution will only happen when Raila is ready. And the paper tiger revolutionaries doing catwalks in police stations are just cartoons. If a revolution hit them on the head, they would not even recognize it. These fellows have no cause or conviction. They are casual laborers for Muzungus who are haters of country. After every demonstration, they are paid up a DM, given a soda and bus fare. This is true from their paper tiger leaders to the demonstrators themselves. They are just doing kibarua. Don't be cheated, in my view. And I think on this one I'm not wrong. And this is why one day they support the revolution and the next day they are stoning the revolution. It all depends on who is paying them. But now I must go back to Raila, the Baba man. What would happen if Raila abandoned the handshake? No, let me pose this question differently. What will happen when Raila abandons the handshake? Very cleverly, Raila has used the handshake to isolate Uhuru. Uhuru is isolated from Ruto and the Kalenjin nation. That's a fact. The Kikuyus are unhappy and grumpy. That's also a fact. If Uhuru is attacked today, they will not defend him. They will only defend him reluctantly. What is more, the Kikuyus have been divided into 2 derogatory groups. Kieleweke, or whatever they call it, and Kutangatanga, Kumangamanga Brigade, whatever they call it. If the Kikuyus are not seeing this division as an insult, then they are sleeping through the revolution because the handshake is the revolution. Finally, the only person standing with Uhuru now is Raila. And that is scary, in my view. If Raila abandons Uhuru, there will be no Uhuru Kenyatta. And this is because the handshake is the revolution. 3. The House of Bishops should not lose its prophetic voice. It must not join the Jerusalem crowds that shouted, crucify him, without examining the facts. Their statements on corruption this week were exaggerated, alarmist, and worrying. They sounded like the mobs of Jerusalem. If the House of Bishops had used their prophetic voice, this is what they would have told Uhuru Kenyatta, that the handshake is the revolution. They would have also told Uhuru that Raila is like a flower known as a Venus flytrap. It thrives where the soil is poor. If you plant it in rich soil, it dies. This flower eats small animals, mainly insects and small juicy frogs. The leaves of this flower look like a mouth with very many sharp teeth. And inside the mouth is a bright red color, and around the mouth is a spray of irresistible sweet nectar. And this is what attracts the insects and the juicy frogs. When they land on this mouth, the jaws of the plant flap with speed. In fact, they close faster than we blink. And the more the trapped insect inside of it struggle to get out, the faster they are digested by this plant. Now that's Raila for you. Raila has trapped Uhuru with color red and nectar. Then he called this color red and nectar peace and handshake. And before Uhuru can blink, Raila will snap his jaws like this flower. And the more Uhuru struggles to get out of the jaws of the handshake revolution, the more he will be digested. If I was Uhuru's priest, this is what I would have told him this Sunday, not the corruption rumbles given to him by the House of Bishops this week. And on this one, I could also be wrong. I do not receive a fax from God every morning the way the bishops do. The only thing I'm saying here is that I do not trust Raila, and Raila will trick Uhuru Kenyatta, not when he will do it, not whether he will do it or not, but more when he will do it.